What's up, guys? So what we're doing here is we are going to take the Big Bang Nano Lube, which is the full name would be Big Bang Bandalore's Micronized Nano Lube, which is just a really fancy way of us saying that we created some dry lube. So there's three ways you can basically use this. So you can use it as a standalone, as a dry lubricant. We generally suggest that for full ceramic bearings. We can use it as a additive to your cleaning process, so you can actually mix it with mineral spirits or acetone. So what that'll do is it'll treat your bearing while you clean it if you like to run bearings completely dry and you don't feel like putting lube in afterwards. Or what we can do is, I'm going to silence my phone here, or what we're going to do is you can add it to a wet lube, which is probably the coolest thing that people are going to hear about. So you can use, I use 1-drop V4M because this is fantastic thin lube, and then I use 3-in-1 oil for responsive yo-yos. So this is just here as an example, but really this is the one we're going to use today. So what I suggest is a little watertight Tupperware. I've already got a little bit of acetone, but we're going to add a little bit more just so you guys can see how this works. Is the first thing we're going to do is clean a gunked up bearing. So I've got an old flat bearing. It's not necessarily a good one. It's just kind of a bearing that I had. I think this is a really old one. So what we're going to do here is I put on this punch so you guys can see how it spins. Not very good. You can see I flick it like really hard, and you get a second of spin out of it at most. So we're going to clean that up. So the first thing we do is we're going to take the acetone and we're going to take the dry lube. We're going to move this bearing out of the way for now so that this is the one we're focused on. So you're going to open it up. It has a brush cap on it. You're going to want to kind of knock off all the excess, and you'll just have a little bit on there. So you're going to come here, tap it a few times. Maybe that was too many, but we'll call it 2 instead of 3 next time. You should see a little speckles in there. That is all you need. You can treat a couple of bearings with this. So then you're going to take the cap, put it right back on here. Now the reason I use scrap cardboard is because if you get one of those little flecks, which I did a good job not getting it anywhere, it'll just smear all over because it bonds to whatever surface you put it on. It gets in all the little crevices. So my cheap table here is going to get all lubed up otherwise. So you want to make sure this is nice and tight, and we're going to mix it around without the bearing in it yet. So once it's mixed around, take 2 seconds. Open it back up, be careful. You'll see it's kind of a murky gray color. What that is the lubricant is actually mixed into the solution. So, I got some on myself. I wouldn't suggest this exact one because it tends to get liquid up in these corners, but you know what I mean. Screw cap probably would make more sense. So we're going to pop that in there. Push this back on. And just slosh it around a little bit. For really gunked up bearings, I suggest, 15, 20 seconds. So, spin in a couple different directions, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. For sake of brevity, we'll be done, because that's probably all we need. And now I've got oil on me, or acetone. Sweet. I really meant mineral spirits, but we'll get the right thing eventually. I like to just take the punch instead of reaching in there. Pull it out. Now it's going to be dripping. A couple of taps and then a little bit of paper towels. You can obviously use microfibers if you're worried about getting paper towel little spots in there, but it shouldn't be a problem. Alright, so you can already see it spinning freer. Then take compressed air, hold it over an open area, and just spray it through. Stop it. Have it go the other direction. And if you want to be really thorough, you can flip it and do the same thing. Just on the other side like this. Nice and thorough. Alright. So, now that that's done, you just wipe off any excess mineral spirits from the outside so it doesn't get on your string. And in that small amount of time, we took a very slow bearing and we got to spin a lot nicer. Now, as I said, this bearing was pretty jacked up. It's probably 5 or 6 years old, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little rust in there, but it's definitely spinning a lot better than it was, and you will see that it is quiet still. Now, we can always pop it back in, do another wash. It should get a little better. I may not have washed it long enough to get all of whatever gunk was in there out, but it's certainly a big improvement. So then what you do is you just pop that in your yo-yo, play with it for about 5-10 minutes. What that'll do is it'll work in the dry lube into all the little crevices, and it should actually improve over time. So it'll spin even better after about 5-10 minutes. Now the big thing you'll notice, which we're going to do on the next one, is that it tends to reduce vibration a lot in yo-yos, or in bearings. So let's take this bearing, now that this one has been clean lubed. This one is dry. It is older and it's a little corroded because it's an old KK. This thing's probably, oh, I don't know, 8 years old. So you can see it makes kind of a noise. Reason being, it's actually a hybrid ceramic. So you've got ceramic balls, but then a metal race. So you spin it, and it makes kind of a clangey noise, right? So it's spinning, and it's spinning really freely and going really fast, but it's got a little vibe to it. You can actually feel it in here, in which you would feel it on a yo-yo, because it's just metal on metal. So what we're trying to do is get rid of that vibe and kind of smooth it out without actually ruining any of the unresponsive properties to it. Make sure I'm still recording, which I am. Sorry about that. I had one not record, and I had to redo it. So what we're going to do is, with this one, we are going to wet lube it. So how I like to do wet lube actually is I take this and I just mix it straight into a bottle of this. But this is a new bottle. So this one hasn't had anything added to it. It's just how it comes from one drop. So what we're going to do is, if I can get around the child safety, what the heck? There we go. I don't know why I couldn't get that off. So what we're going to do is basically how we dry lube a yo-yo and then add wet lube. So what you're going to want to do is knock off, like before, as much as you can, just so there's just a little powderiness on there. And you're just going to get one or two of those little fibers in there and just touch it. Don't do the whole brush. Do like one or two little stray ones. Do it on that side, just the tiniest little bit. All right? So you should see like one or two little specks on there. That's all you need. Then we're going to take the wet lube, and we're going to do one little drop there, one little drop there, and one little drop there. All right? So now you've got wet lube and dry lube in there. What we're going to do is we're going to take the punch, same deal, compressed air, and work it in. And go the other way. Alright, so we'll dry it off. And what you'll see is it's going to spin just as well as it did, but it's not vibing anymore. So what we've done is we've reduced that little vibration you'll get in really dry bearings, but you're keeping it nice and unresponsive. So that's the second way to do it. The final way would be how I prefer to do full ceramic bearings. So this is one of our full ceramics. This one's a 9-ball. We actually have 10 balls available, but they are very limited right now because of the spinners. So we have all 9 balls right now, and I'm working on sourcing enough 10 balls to actually have them available and put in a yo-yo. I honestly can't tell the difference. It's just people like 10 balls. So what we're going to do is, this is a full ZRO2 ceramic. What you'll see in here is these balls are black. That's silicone nitride. I may have that slightly off, but whatever. So what we're going to do is keep it away from all this wet lube. We're just going to take this like we did before, and we're just, there's too much on there. And we're just going to, it's really easy to see on the white bearings, we're just going to tap a little and tap a little, and that's it. So what you'll see is there's a little bit in there on the race. Close that back up. Put it on here. Spin around a few times with your hand. kind of wipe off the excess, get it in there. Then I like to flip it over and do just a tiny bit more. I actually have enough right here. You'll see it's kind of a bluish. It's from the tungsten. Just tap it in. You get 1 or 2 little specks and you're good. So that's really all you need. And you're going to get a bearing that just keeps spinning. So, really, with the ceramics, I wish I had put that on dry. This one's already lubed. But they're really loud. They're like when you put them on. Actually, you know what? I obviously have more. So let me grab a bearing. They are not quiet. So, this is a brand new one. This one's actually a 10 ball. You can hear it. They make this kind of rattle. And then what this does, it's a lot quieter. So, you don't notice as much spinning here, but when it's in a metal yo-yo that reverberates everything, especially a 7075 or a titanium, it gets much louder. So having this makes a big difference. It's kind of an exponential change. So I'm going to pop this back in here. Probably use this for my own yo-yos because now I've taken one out. But yep, that is generally how I do it. Now, if you want to run a responsive yo-yo, do the exact same thing as the wet lube one, but just use a thicker oil such as 3-in-1. What I find with wet lubes is they protect against corrosion, so they're not necessary in a full ceramic bearing, but you do still want lubricant. You want to reduce friction. So this works fantastic for reducing friction without getting that stacking. So what stacking means is when you put like graphite, for instance, in a lot of people will use graphite as a yo-yo dry lube, is you'll get the little clumps of it will start to accumulate where all the friction points are. So on the sides of the races, you'll get these like lines of graphite because they're getting pushed to the side. This won't do that. It won't clump up and make bigger little specks of it. I don't know why I can't think of the word right now. But what'll happen is it'll actually stay nice and coated, and it'll actually get better over time, which is awesome. So if I keep playing this for like 15-20 minutes, it'll get even quieter and it'll kind of work into the whole bearing. So that is how the dry lube works. If you guys have any questions or comments or whatever, you want to call me an asshole or whatnot, just let us know. And that should be it. Thanks, guys.